With the release of Photon Hypernova coming in February, Kashtira's a deck that's already getting splashed in damn near everything right now. Is going to get a lot of new support. One of the main new things they're getting is the Kashtira Arise that's going to drop in that set that allows them to have more interruption plays. The biggest thing about the Kashtira deck though, guys, they have zone locking capabilities. The Kashtira XYZ monster, whose name I can't think of, a picture will be on the screen. So the fact is, essentially every time a card is banished, you can lock out a zone. With the new support they're getting in Photon Hypernova, they're going to be able to essentially lock out 2 to 3 zones on average turn 1, or best case scenario, lock out your entire zone, which effectively says you cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, in the OCG, Kashtira ain't the best deck. However, it did reign supreme for a while, but a lot of OCG players already had ways to beat that. So in this video, I'm going to go over those ways to beat that type of zone locking capabilities, because they really just rely on their XYZ. However, keep in mind, considering we are on the TCG, we don't have things like Max C. Some of these ways may or may not be dated by the time the new support arrives here, because TCG players might tag things like Solemn Judgment and etc. in their Kashtira matchup. So off the rip, Swords of Concealing Light is a card that players are starting to pick up. I think Altis went up in value. I'm not a value guy, so don't ask me. However, Swords of Concealing Light, simple fact, you play it, all your opponent's monsters got to go face down. They must remain face down. The Kashtira XYZ monster stays while he's face up. Those zones are unusable. So off the rip, flip them face down. Or if you have an Imperm or a Fag Veiler, you can effectively shut them off, get your zones active, and good to go. Now, this is kind of a toxic strategy, because it kind of relies on the opponent to open up either an Infinite Impermanence to negate the zone locking abilities. And on top of that, hopefully you draw something that flip it face down or remove it. Speaking of flipping face down, we also have Book of Eclipse coming back in the rotation as well. I remember looking at OCG deck lists earlier this year, and I remember seeing people using Book of Eclipse. Now, a buddy of mine told me at locals Book of Eclipse is being used due to Scareclaw, which is also another solid deck in the OCG. Hence the reason why Scareclaw Tri-Brigade did really good in some of the big events last week. However, outside of just Scareclaw, same concept as the Swords of Concealing Light. Book of Eclipse, quick play spell, switch the dude face down, their entire field face down. So you better combo off, because if you don't, they're going to be able to flip everything back up, lock your zones again. I don't know how it's ruled, so maybe you guys can let me know in the comment section down below. If the Kashtira XYZ monsters flip face down, do they have to relock your zones again? Or is it treated as when these flip face back up, those zones are locked in? Let me know. So Book of Eclipse is another good card. I guess you could say Book of Moon as well. If you want like a 1-for-1 type of thing, Book of Eclipse is good because you can set it, flip it, yeah, your opponent gets to draw. However, in a metagame matchup where it's mono-y-mono, sometimes you might just need that extra chain ability. Unlike Swords of Concealing Light, where you just play it and that's it. It has no defensive attributes to it. In some weird scenarios, you might be able to Book of Eclipse, make them draw and deck themselves out. I won't be surprised if people try to play Tier, Kashtira that zone locks, so that way they're milling everything, flip their whole field face down. In phase, they flip face up, they draw 5, and they might just be decking out. So obviously, good cards that are going to be solid during this metagame is going to be Raigeki and Darkhold. Standard board wipes, Darkhold's at 3, Raigeki's at 3. I did mention in my last video about this Kashtira deck that people more than likely in TCG probably not going to be doing Book of Eclipse, more along the lines of Raigeki, because a lot of TCG players it's like instant destruction. You guys got to remember as well, when it comes to side decking, Book of Eclipse and Swords of Concealing Light is going to be better in some scenarios, because a lot of cards have effects that say can't be destroyed by battle, by card effects. Not to say the Kashtira cards have those effects, but just keep in mind when you play against different decks that may not be zone locking you, but also have the ability to say can't be destroyed by battle, by card effects. A good example that would be Evil Hero Malicious Bane. You can't Raigeki Malicious Bane, but you can Swords of Concealing Light him, and it's non-targeting. And you can Book of Eclipse him as well, and then run him over, do what you got to do, pop him while he's face down, and etc. Also, I can see Nibiru coming back in the format as well, alongside Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird, because I've been seeing a lot of people play that in my local, so that card seems to be coming back as well. Crystal Beast is still a solid deck. Alongside of everything else, there's a lot of good rogue decks that Droll kills as well. So Droll is really good for a lot of rogue decks, but Nibiru, outside of the rogue decks, from just watching the standard Kashtira combo, They don't have Omni negates. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who wants to get in the comment section down below? So if they're popping off, they're doing all those summons, you could just Nibiru them and you're good to go. Now, obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Kashtira is not just going to be able to come back and win. The engine's already solid as well. They have instant banishing. They have their spell to recur thing. So they have some pretty cool plays, which is why I think a lot of TCG players are gonna just raffle some through a lot of people with probably some Omni negates, main deck Solemn Judgments, or main deck combo variants that utilize synchros that can shut stuff off and Omni negate to help with extra defense. So this is my thoughts and opinions about that. Let me know hear what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. I know it's kind of a shorter video, but I am getting ready to go to locals to film my last vlog for the year. So all right guys, this is your boy Rogue Hero bringing you guys another dope discussion. Peace, stay innovative, man. Deuces, you guys have a great rest of your day.